saying when I say their names, so you can go live. Okay.
All right, you guys ready?
Yeah, I'm
So
gonna
do you
find my
see it,
script.
so what you want to wait for is when you see this meeting is being live streamed, then that means you're good. So you're good to go.
Should I hit
Okay,
okay? Should I hit okay?
You don't have to do anything. You can leave
Okay.
that. I'll hit okay. Yeah.
Okay.
okay, sorry, I
Okay.
don't have my script up. Hold on, let me find it. I found it earlier. Where did I put it? Sorry, everyone. What did I do with it? Oh, it's a Word doc. I was looking for PDFs. Okay.
Okay.
Welcome to the Select Board Interview Subcommittee remote meeting tonight, April 2nd, 2024. Pursuant to Chapter 2 of the Acts of 2023, an act relative to the extending certain COVID-19 measures, this meeting will be conducted via remote participation. No in-person attendance by members of the public will be permitted. The order allows the interview subcommittee to meet entirely remotely, so long as reasonable public access is afforded so that the public can follow along with the deliberations of the meeting. All members of the interview subcommittee are allowed and encouraged to participate remotely. Members of the public who wish to view the live stream of this meeting may do so by going to Northborough Remote Meetings on YouTube via the link listed in the agenda. This meeting will not feature public comment. Each vote taken this evening will be conducted by roll call vote, but this evening we actually won't be taking any votes, FYI, because we're splitting ZBA interviews to 2 nights. Members, you ready, Lisa? When I call your name, please respond in the affirmative. Lisa Maselli.
Hi.
And I am Kristen Wickstead. Hello, everyone. And thank you, Angie, for organizing us and at Town Hall. And thank you, Susie Sizelka, for coming as a representative of the ZBA to be here to answer questions for any of the new folks that we're interviewing tonight. Great. Okay, so now, Angie, we could allow our first victim,
Okay.
I mean, candidate,
Okay.
dad jokes, you know? Jack. Jack is our first one. Let me find his application.
Hi, Jack. Are you there?
Put on his camera and his audio. Huh?
Sometimes it takes
There
people a
he is.
minute. There he is.
Oh, yes,
Two.
yes.
My apologies.
That's all
Do
right.
you prefer Jack or John?
Most people call me Jack.
Okay. Okay.
Legal name is John, and I apologize for the dark room. I've never done a Zoom in this room before at night.
That's okay. Well, welcome to the interview subcommittee. I'm Kristen Wickstead, and I'll let everyone else introduce themselves.
Hi, Jack. I'm Lisa Maselli. Kristen
Hi.
and I are both select people.
Thank you.
Hi, Jack. I'm Angie. I've been communicating with you. Thank you for doing this tonight.
Thank you.
I'm Susie Sislika. I'm on the ZBA right now.
Oh, how are you?
Meet you.
Thank you.
So Susie will be here to answer any questions or fill in any holes as we go along, or definitely at the end. We always will give you a chance to ask questions if you have any.
Okay.
So basically, I'm not sure how much you know about this. I know you were on a board of appeals. Is that like a zoning board of appeals in Grafton for a while?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So so I don't know if it's the same there, but we'll have this interview tonight with just 2 of us from the select board, and then when we're done all the interviews, which will be a 2-night process, because there's 6 people and not everybody could make it tonight. When we're done all the interviews tomorrow evening, after they're all done, then Lisa and I will discuss just about making a recommendation to the select board. And then hopefully Monday, April 8th, we'll be able to take a vote on it if everything
Okay.
goes smoothly. And the full board has to vote on the actual appointment. So
Correct.
it wouldn't happen until Monday anyway. Okay.
Okay.
So that's the how it works spiel. And if you have any questions, just go ahead and ask. But Lisa, do you have a first question?
Well, the first question I was going to ask, which is a little silly when I look at the application, which is, of all the boards and committees, why did you pick the ZBA? Well, I'll let you explain, even though your resume kind of says an awful lot.
So if I go back to when I first moved to Grafton back in 95, I believe it was, I'd seen lots of ads. They were looking for a planning board member at the time. And every week there was an ad in the paper, planning board, planning board, planning board. I'm like, what? Why doesn't anybody apply for this? And I had just moved to town and I was like, I'm new to town. I'm not going to do anything. So finally I sent in my interest, that said, hey, I'll step up to the planning board because I come from a real estate background. I have a lot of interest in, I do commercial real estate. I've managed commercial property for over 30 years. I do brokerage and consulting. And when the select board got back to me, they said that the planning board spot had been filled, but there was a spot on the zoning board. So I said, sure, I'll sit on the zoning board. And within maybe 9 months, I became the chair. And I stayed on that board for about 17 years, many years as chair. I believe your electrical inspector, Bob Berger, is the building inspector in Grafton. So I worked with him for many years in the position. So when I moved to Northborough, my children were in the high school, middle school age, and between all the coaching and traveling, I had one of my children played NCAA Division II soccer. My son plays club lacrosse in the college level. So between the various 3 children playing sports, there was just no time for anything. But now that my youngest is a sophomore, I find that I have plenty of time, and I enjoyed the zoning board. So I said, I've got a lot of experience in that area. I need to learn the Northborough zoning bylaws, but I thought it was a very good fit.
Great, thank you. Do you know anybody on the Northborough ZBA?
No.
Okay. Did you, I know one of the questions is, did you watch any meetings?
I haven't watched any of the Northborough meetings.
No, because you probably figure you know what a ZBA does, right? So
I spent a lot of hours right after I became chair. We got inundated with the first 2 40B applications that the town ever had.
Okay.
So we were basically meeting 3 out of 4 nights, 3 out of 4 weeks a month, 3 out of 4 weeks a month for a couple of years. So
right, okay.
And then we finally got down to business and was able to just do regular meetings on a monthly basis. I do notice I follow the agenda and I look at the minutes, but I've never watched a meeting.
Okay. Okay, great. And then as far as so you're a real estate broker, but you're also a licensed construction supervisor. I'm not
Yes.
really sure what that is. Can you just
A
tell me?
contractor.
Oh,
So
okay.
the state of Massachusetts, basically you need a construction license to build 1 and 2 family houses, but I do commercial real estate. you still need a contractor's license,
Oh, okay.
although an architect or an engineer would own the job. So I don't do residential
Mhm.
building. I do commercial building.
So that goes together. Okay, good. Super. I'm taking notes because I'm writing the minutes at some point. So sorry, I'm a little slow. Okay, great. So, it says you've attended a couple town meetings. Are you going to go
Yes.
this year? It's going to be really good.
Do you
The
promise?
answer is yes. The answer is yes, Kristen. I will be on town meeting.
Yes, Kristen, I will be attending.
Thank you. And as many of your family members who are available and 18 will also come.
You're
There we
prerequisite.
go.
Yeah.
Just
Well,
push a
this
button.
is one of the ways you can just get people to agree to go to town meeting is to
I
just
like that.
them in interviews. So
I like that.
okay, yeah, that pretty much satisfies my questions. Lisa, did you have any other questions?
Well, again, we're looking at a seasoned member coming on with experience and background, and I think it's great. Last year I started a real push to get a volunteer outreach so that we could get new people on our boards and committees, and this year has been a great group of people coming on board, and you certainly have all the things that are necessary to make it easier for us because you've already got some experience. We have, we're going through I think some growing pains, and the bigger question we always seem to have is the variance standards, and so that's one of the bigger things that I've seen with this committee, and so that I guess just so that if anybody watches, they would have something to to talk about. First question, I guess, would be, what is a hardship?
A hardship can be anything. It could be basically the hardship is determined by the land. I mean, first and foremost. But a hardship can be anything. A hardship could be the current building of the existing contours of the land. The hardship can be where a building currently sits or doesn't sit. The hardship can be the topography. Hardship can be financial, but that is not front and foremost in any consideration. But it may be. So basically the hardship comes down to the land.
Okay. Is there like, from what I hear often, there are three different prongs of creating the hardship necessity? The topography?
You can tell me. We never used that, but
Oh, is that right? Okay.
so
Well,
we did not address that in the past.
okay, so that would be something new for you, which is great because, coming into it, everybody is relatively new and learning, and it's not my bailiwick, so I'm not gonna go crazy with it. But have you had situations where there have been legal proceedings on decisions that you've made?
Many times the zoning board had been named as a defendant in a suit.
Okay. And
We did not handle that. Town council,
Right.
either to handle that or outside counsel was retained.
okay, well, that's understandable.
We were never called into a legal proceeding as a witness.
Okay.
Lisa, I'm sorry. There was one other question I was going to ask. So just so you know, I do have one more when you're done. Okay.
Okay.
I forgot to.
Why don't you go ahead and then I'll follow up with something else.
Okay. Yeah. With taking the notes, I just got a little distracted from my own little list of questions. So, John, there's There was a recent ZBA kind of kerfluffle on Maple Street, which I happen to be a little bit familiar with because I live sort of around the corner from there. Did you follow that one at all?
No, I did not.
So, okay. 'Cause there is a house that someone's trying to turn into um I guess multiple units. They want to tear down the house and build multiple units. And I don't know too many of the details, but um Susie is getting sued, right? Susie?
It's part of the course of business.
Susie and the ZBA, yeah. So maybe Susie, maybe you could talk a little bit about, I don't know, can you not talk about that or no? Okay. But maybe could you give him an example of I don't know, some of the pros and cons of being on the ZBA and then see if he has any questions while Lisa comes up with her last question.
I volunteered because I wanted to make a difference in our town. I wanted to give back. I'm a stay-at-home mom right now. A non-practicing attorney right now, so I feel like I have an education that I'm not really using full-time. And former real estate attorney and municipal lawyer. So that is why I personally chose to kind of use it right now. And I do enjoy real estate, like you said, a lot, but I wanted to give back. And I felt like our town was, we are changing from a farming community into a little something different. So I wanted to be a part of that and help people, basically. So
what are
that's
some of the
actually-
challenges of the ZBA though?
There are challenges because sometimes people aren't happy with the decision. But there are times too where they don't understand like what an easement is. So you have to kind of explain what an easement is or what the test for a variance is or a use variance or stuff like that. So it is kind of hard to explain that you're not making a decision that's personal, where you're applying something, I guess. But this because you were on a board for 17 years too.
Does the board in Northborough issue use variances? In Grafton,
in
the
the
planning
past,
board did.
The,
I'm sorry?
the board, yes, we do here.
Okay.
The planning board is trying to bring it up that it's not going to be allowed anymore. I feel like when I've attended trainings and they're like, these are rarely given out in the state, I feel like they're talking about here. Yeah, so, but I'm proud of some of our decisions, like a recent one that we dealt with FedEx. I'm very proud of that decision and what we were able to give for the town there. And some of the safety standards, especially with FedEx being so close to the high school. So I was very proud of our role there. But yeah, so we have there, I do enjoy and I feel like the board, while we do have different opinions on some things, we're very cordial with each other and friendly as well.
As well as it should be.
Yeah. So
I mean, anytime you have more than two people discussing anything, there will be differences of opinion. But at the end of the night, we always had lively discussions. But at the end of the night, it wasn't a personal thing. It was, everybody giving their honest opinion and their interpretation of the bylaw. But at the end of the night, we're all friends and working towards the same goal.
Yes, that's what we always say. So I think, did I cover it, Kristen?
Yeah, that was great. That was great, Chris. Yeah, since you didn't get a chance to talk to any other members, John, I wanted you to have a little more.
Well, when I first joined the Grafton board, I was brought on as an alternate.
Okay.
Sat for 9 months until I became a full member. And when I became a full member, I became the chair.
I was going to say that timing from when I remembered earlier. Yes.
So it,
Yeah.
and it's great to have, somebody who's a lawyer on the board, or one or two. I know we had at 1.3, and it sort of took away from, I felt, what the zoning board was doing, because they were getting more into a legal aspect instead of the zoning board aspect,
Yeah.
which is there to give relief. But the relief is not something that's automatically granted. It has to be proven as we go back to what is the hardship.
Right.
And so we gave special permits in the variances, but as I said, the one thing we did not do was the use variance. So I don't have any experience in that area.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. I mean, that's actually one of the good things. I would think you wouldn't want to keep doing the same old, same old. It's kind of nice that different towns have different rules about this kind of thing. Lisa, did you have anything else?
Yeah, I wanted to, as I thought of it, and then you said something in my, my mind just went off again. Would you mind, Jack, coming on as an alternate? Did you?
No, I fully expected.
Okay, all right. That's a good question, because we have two sets open, and you're the first candidate coming before us tonight.
Yeah, I guess we should ask everybody that.
Yeah, so that way we know that there's, we have two spots, two places to put.
Okay.
And
I knew there was one, and I'm not sure how your ZBA operates. The way we operated was all the sitting members plus the alternates were participated in the discussion.
Yeah.
At front, but only the 5 sitting members could vote.
That's correct.
I don't know if there's any difference here.
No, it's very same. I think they're probably just the general rules.
But sometimes the alternates do vote if someone's away, right, Susie?
Correct.
Yeah.
If they're appointed to sit on a hearing.
Yeah. So there's a good chance of that, it seems like. One of our current alternates is applying to be, Angie disappeared. He's applying to be like promoted to regular or whatever, and it
Correct.
said he voted.
Appointed as a sitting member.
Yeah,
Mhm.
application. So
And
okay, great.
Is there anything else you'd like to tell us?
Or ask us.
I think we've covered a lot. I think, I have the experience, but I'm willing to learn. And I'm just looking to participate and do what I can to help Northborough be a better town.
Great. Well, we're very happy that you've done this, and we will be seeing you soon.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Thank you.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
If I can provide any more information, just reach out.
We will, absolutely.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
John, nice to meet you.
You too. Have a great
Thank you,
evening.
Jack. Thanks.
Good luck. And thank you all for doing this.
Sure.
Good night.
Good night now.
Andrew, you all set?
I'm all set. Yep.
Okay.
Read my next.
Is it Jacob next?
No,
John Mahar. Mahar.
Mayor
On Jacob, just like this on.
Jingleheimer Smith.
I don't see him
Yeah,
in the
okay.
waiting room yet, so I'll let you know when
might
he's
have-
in.
Like
We are a
some-
little early. We're 5 minutes early,
5
but
minutes early.
well, times are approximate, John. Just kidding.
It actually was, that was pretty good time. We thought we'd have a lot
Yeah.
of airtime.
Yeah. I got a little like, I don't know. Sometimes I'm just like, okay, I don't know what to say. I'm just gonna be like, okay, I'm done.
Well, I thought I
And
was
always think of
rambling
things.
after
What?
I thought I was rambling after my last round of interviews with you, and you were like, Susie.
I know. Yeah. Like, you don't want to be on a CAC interview with Susie. She just
Oh,
goes on her-
Tomorrow's interview has already been working with me.
Yes.
She's already planning the
She said that,
concert with
right.
me, and
And I'm not doing that one. Lisa and Julianne are doing
okay.
the next the ones tomorrow. So you're going to be there for that? Is that
Mm, yeah. She's already booked a balloon lady for me.
nice? Great.
She has industrial lighting. I thought, I thought Allie from Rack was gonna like start crying with happiness because she has industrial lighting. She has such a large family that she literally has bought industrial lighting for her backyard. And she's like, oh, I can bring it to the Christmas tree lighting ceremony. And Allie's like, you have industrial lighting? You can truck yourself? Like, I thought she was gonna start crying.
Little things, Allie.
Yeah. So yeah, she's great. She fell into my lap too. So
Nice.
All coming together. So Kristen, you said you had a question other than the one that I had, right?
Yeah, the Maple Street question. And then I made Susie feel awkward. Sorry, Susie.
I was like, oh,
Sometimes I say things and I'm like, why did I say that out loud?
well, no. I was like, well, I think it's still a lawsuit, so I don't think I can talk
No,
about it.
exactly. You probably can't. I just wanted to know, like,
Yeah,
if he-
Jack was like, no.
yeah, that was
You can't talk
that
about
was just
it.
one that I was a little bit familiar with because honestly, I don't really watch a ton of ZBA anymore because I'm usually at my own meetings, and if I have a night off, the last thing I want to do is watch another meeting.
Got to a 4-hour ZBA meeting. I mean, what do you mean?
Right, like the night
still-
after I had a 4-hour select board meeting. No thanks.
Yeah. 8 hours a meeting after, full days. We are pretty entertaining though, from what I hear. My friends turn in and they're like, these are like better than what's on Tuesday night TV.
Yeah, that's true. Tuesday night TV has definitely changed its bar. So
I know. We are
kind of like a reality show, only it affects them.
literally is. Yeah.
All right.
I am very proud of that FedEx decision though.
Yeah.
No, that was great. Yeah.
That's one of my favorite decisions. And I do feel like the use variance when I attend those trainings and they're like, now the use variance is very rarely granted in Massachusetts. And I'm like, they're talking about Northborough. They're only granted in Northborough.
All right, John has joined the waiting room. Let me know when you guys are ready.
He can come in now. We're ready.
Okay, okay.
Okay.
Lowell's husband. I know her name from Facebook.
Flowers.
That's your wife's name. Do you want to change that?
Yeah,
I mean, it's not a
I
big
could
deal.
go by
John.
I can go by Nicole for the next 30 minutes or whatever. It's fine by me.
Yeah, she's in Northborough, Mom. I know that name. Okay, well, hi, John. Nice to meet you. I'm Kristen.
Nice to meet you.
And I'm Lisa. Kristen and I are the select board members.
Oh, perfect.
Hi, John.
Great.
I'm Angie. How are you? Nice to meet
Hey,
you.
Angie. How you doing?
Good,
Hey,
good.
Susie.
Hi, John.
Oh, there's a little recognition on the board. Okay.
Well, that's the thing with doing these interviews in a small town. Like I looked at the applications and almost every select board member was mentioned in at least one application because it's a small town and we all know people. And if we removed ourselves from everything that has anything to do with someone that we're kind of friends with, we would never be able to get anything done. So anyway, Julianne and I have had this conversation before because she's like interviewed her neighbor for something. I've interviewed a neighbor for something. Like it's just how it all plays out.
Sure.
Yeah. So thanks for coming, John. I don't know if you're aware, but our process is we do the interviews tonight and tomorrow night for ZBA. We have 2 spots for the full board and then 2 spots for alternates. And then at the end of tomorrow evening, Lisa and I will make a recommendation and then but then the select board, the full board has to vote on it at our next meeting, which will be Monday
Okay.
after the eclipse. So, so yeah, so that's how that works. And they don't necessarily vote by the recommendation, that's just a recommendation. So,
Sure. Understood.
yeah. Okay, great. So Lisa, do you want to start?
Yes, I will ask you the question the universal question. Of all the boards and committees that you could have picked, why did you choose to apply for the ZBA position?
No, thanks again for having me tonight. I appreciate it. The ZBA is of interest to me, specifically as I think it kind of aligns with my professional career. I'm in commercial real estate and residential real estate from a multifamily perspective. I've been financing commercial property throughout the country for the last 12 years and have had a commercial real estate experience nationally over an additional 4 years. So for about 16 years, I've been either valuing or financing commercial property throughout the country, focusing on suburban, more or less suburban communities, not really focused on downtown. So I've seen quite a bit from a zoning perspective, from a spectrum of absolutely no zoning like Houston to highly zoned master plan communities, such outside DC, like in Reston, Virginia, which is one of the most first master plan communities in the country. So I have experience looking at site plans, obviously assessing financial feasibilities, but also, I've worked with, in order to finance property, we need zoning reports and the like. So familiar with working with the legal community as well. And then, specifically, we've been residents of Northborough for the last 12 years. I'd like to kind of be able to lend my experience from a professional perspective and give it back to the community. I view, obviously it's an appointed position. I don't really have any aspirations to run for elected office per se. But, I think that my professional background, my vested interest, obviously, in the town, and then, basically just trying to sit and not really personally interpret the bylaws, so to speak, but more or less have a good thorough understanding of them and kind of hear people out that feel that maybe, as far as permitting goes or overall use or just, anything that pertains to the zoning, to zoning, that, to hear them out and to see, first and foremost, to protect the community and the safety of everyone in the community, but also kind of help with the overall future development and future growth of the town and the town's success in the future.
Okay. Can I ask then, since we have alternate positions and main board positions, are you interested in one or the other? Is it something that you've thought about? Do you know the difference between them?
Yeah, well, yeah, I mean, from an alternate perspective, reading kind of, the bylaws of the town and understanding, basically the difference between the voting member and the alternate, the alternate being someone I think that can step in if someone's is of absence and the like. To me, I don't think I don't think I have a strong preference actually one way or the other.
Okay.
If it's a chance from an alternate's perspective to kind of learn the processes and the like, and to really kind of get a full understanding of the zoning bylaws, if that gives me the time to do that, and then eventually step in, I'm fine with that. If if the board feels that, my background could be of use immediately, then, I would obviously ramp up and put the needed time in to kind of be able to hit the ground running as well.
Okay. And do you know what the hours of expectation is and all of that? How long, whatever the messages would be, or?
I have a general sense of it, but I'd love to get, I guess a little bit more color if it's from Susie or whomever as far as what, the time requirements are and the like. I believe there's a couple meetings a month and the like. So
Great, Susie, can you step in with some of that?
Yes. So it's usually the last Tuesday of a month. And we usually have April off because of annual town meeting. Sometimes another meeting will be off, and it depends on if there's an application. If no one applies, then we don't have a meeting. And then it also depends on if it's a sign variance up at Northborough Crossing, then we don't really have a lot of time to be spent, or a garage or a shed. But then again, when FedEx was asking and there was a 57-page traffic, or a 57-page traffic study, which I liked to refer to as my book club for the weekend. And I made everyone refer to it as the book club when discussing it. Then that was a lot more hours that month, just depending and reading over the studies and everything. So that was a larger meeting, and that was a lot of time spent. Just researching. I even called the high school to see how many student passes they had. It was just how much research and the laws that we were just researching and everything. But so it just depends on the cases, basically, is what I'm trying to say. So comes and goes at the cases that we have before it. So
Ebbs and flows.
yeah.
Yes. It's poetry, John.
Book club.
And book
there you
club.
go.
Very literary, the ZBA.
Mhm.
All right. So, are there any recent cases that have caught your attention when you were doing your research?
The firehouse obviously is something that I think is kind of, on a lot of people's minds. I was able to kind of watch that online. So that's something of note from a variance perspective, whether it's the setbacks and the like and traffic flow from that. That's predominantly been pretty much kind of the most recent, from my opinion.
What did you think about it?
Yeah.
Sorry.
So I think there are a couple elements.
You to like pretend you're on the ZBA. Just what I say is fine.
There were a couple elements that it was like, from a feasibility, from a site perspective, from traffic flow and the actual design, and to be able to have require the necessary parking, but then also for having the truck access and movement there were certain setbacks that needed some sort of variance, and that just seemed to make sense based upon the layout of the site. And then there was a question about the LED boards and whatnot, and whether that is necessary, and whether or not do you grant a variance for that, and then where does that stop, as far as additional or other landowners coming forth to request. So, I think from just taking a look at the actual variance as far as the additional setback, there's, from my perspective, you need the actual use of the property needed that. The sign, I think the sign is something that's kind of outside the scope. But again, that's my thought is to basically not try to personally interpret the zoning and the laws and the ordinance there, but it's really just to kind of look to it, adhere to it, and hear the party out that just would like further discussion.
Yeah, great. Okay, so you mentioned, and I might have just heard you wrong, but I thought you said something about multifamily perspective when you were describing what you you do finance and commercial.
No, yeah, yes, yeah. I finance multifamily properties, developments. Pretty much I've financed them throughout the country.
Yeah. So, so do you know something about how to, I think personally, I think one of the things Northborough seems to be struggling with is in this town where there's a lot of single family homes, but like one of the things the select board is faced with on a regular basis is this reminder that we're in this MBTA adjacent community, and
Sure.
we need to have a certain amount of affordable housing. And the governor is really like, she's having a big fight with the town of Milton over this because they said, no, we don't want to do it. And she's like, no, you have to do it. The whole state needs to do it. This is really important. People don't have a place to live, right? So I think Northborough is one of these towns that's a little bit struggling with single family homes versus how do you incorporate multifamily homes in a town like Northborough and do it in a way that is peaceful with the neighbors. And this isn't really a ZBA necessarily question, it's just a conversation about
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I think from a zoning perspective, ideally for multifamily, you kind of want to look at it in a zone where it's kind of eligible for mixed use. I think first and foremost, just because the multifamily properties and the density that they bring, the traffic flow and the like predominantly is the number one safety concern for everyone. You mentioned, other zoning issues in town, and I know there's one proposed multifamily development over by Peasley, where they were looking for an increased density, and that's the point that I'm getting at. It's more or less of the way the residential neighborhoods are laid out for a reason, for traffic flow predominantly, and then never mind the school that's right there as well. But again, to your point, what makes a multifamily building successful? Really local, immediate amenities obviously are local. I think that's why a development like Avalon Bay over in Northborough Crossing is successful. I mean, it's got the immediate accessibility to 29, the shopping there. And then, from a multifamily perspective, it's the strength and quality of the schools. And that drives the actual tenancy at the subject in a number of the units, right? Not every unit, but it definitely helps. So, I think first and foremost, they're complementary to the overall community, but they need to be strategically placed.
That is a great answer. All right, Lisa, do you have any more? I'm trying to take notes.
Okay, all right, so we're talking about variance standards. What constitutes a hardship?
Hardship, an economic hardship?
Well, there's more than one thing for you to grant a variance. The hardship it's usually a three-legged
East.
yes. So there are three different criteria together, right? Three-legged criteria. So
yeah, no, I guess I would need to learn more about it.
okay, maybe we'll have Susie. Susie, you can tell us a little bit about this, can't you?
Maybe let Susie have a moment to shine here.
Yeah.
There you go.
Can you hear me? I
Yeah.
just put my earbud.
Yeah.
Okay. So it could be land related, it could be related to the topography, it could be hardship, related to the financial aspect, could be any of the basis and related to the variance.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So if it's a topography in the land, almost like with the firehouse to a certain extent, or the proposed firehouse.
Mm-hmm.
So physical hardship there. Trying to think in the form of an economic hardship. I guess it could be zoning for low income or apartment building zoned in a more industrial type of location, things along those lines.
Yes. Yep. There could be location of the property, where it's located in the area, the size or the shape of the lot, or the topography, or even water features on the site, or some of the peculiars to a property that would be part of the variance requirement. If you were to, you've seen some meetings, obviously, and one of the questions on your application is if you were on the board, what do you think you might like to change about the board, add to the board, enhance the board with? Have you thought about that?
No, I haven't necessarily given it, I guess, too much thought as far as kind of constructive, um, you know, critiquing so much or, providing suggestions. Um, I think, what I would like to try to bring from my perspective again is the overall, just the the financial aspect of real estate development and real estate use, but use it within the guidelines of the zoning bylaws. Again, I don't want to interpret anything personally that's in those bylaws. So, I can't necessarily say that I've thought about how I would constructively change the meetings, the format of the meetings, things along those lines.
Okay, good.
Super.
So you say, and this is a good background piece for us, is that you can think about the financial impact of creating a use variance or giving a use variance, or where this project might be placed, what the impacts are going to be, because I think it's always the important part is how it affects the neighborhoods and surrounding areas. And that's really kind of the thrust of having zoning bylaws, and then creating the ZBA to be able to offer a little bit of a relief from some of the bylaws that were very specific. But it's really good to be able to have what you have in a background that looks at a financial aspect of it as well. So,
Yeah, no, I mean, I bring up Houston. Houston to me is a city that there's sprawl to it, but there's no planning involved whatsoever. And there's certain aspects of that city that are great and unique and have character, and then others that are just it's a hodgepodge of use, and there's really no sense of community. So I think it's important to know, I guess, obviously know what Northborough is as a bedroom community, a community of why people locate and relocate here.
Mhm.
But also, we want to have the ability from a revenue perspective to have the town continue to thrive. So, yeah, again, I just feel that I'd like to kind of give back if I can with any of my experience or expertise I might have.
we appreciate that.
Yeah, we appreciate that a lot. Do you have any questions for Susie or us?
Yeah, Susie, I guess I'd like to be curious to see, like, or hear about, how decisions are kind of made in the moment from the board. If there's, some sort of element of collaboration, sidebar conversations, things along those lines, or is it almost like, a fairly autonomous kind of position where everyone's individual opinion is kind of brought to the table and the like?
Well, Paul is our chair, Tagliaferri, and he will normally start the decision after the hearing closes. So he will usually start and give his thoughts, and we kind of like hash it out there. And give all of our thoughts and kind of go around um and just try to talk it out, and then we do a straw poll. Sometimes we will wait if we're waiting on more information or we want to hear more from somebody, especially from the bigger on the bigger cases. We won't even necessarily close the hearing, but we'll say, okay, we want to hear more from this person, this side, this, and we won't close the hearing, or we won't vote, and then we wait. Some things are just too big to vote that night, and we'll just wait. But we'll still do a straw poll, and then we wait, and then the straw poll will change. And I will say, like, there isn't always the same voting It's not all these people all vote the same way together every time, but it's kind of, we listen to each other and we talk out our opinions and we talk out and we will ask each other questions and, can we get more information on this? Can we hear more about that? So I would say it's a good process. And anyone that's watched our meetings, I would say, because I know like Kristen has watched some of our meetings because some of the stuff has taken place in her neighborhood. I know Lisa's watched some of the stuff because some of the stuff takes place in her neighborhood. And you can attest to the process. We really cover a lot. We don't let any stone go unturned, I will say, in these meetings.
Sure.
So
Yeah, and you also have to, I mean, sidebar conversations are not allowed, right? Because you have the same open meeting law restrictions we do,
yes,
right?
right,
So you're not
right.
allowed to talk. So 3 or more members of the ZBA aren't allowed to talk privately about.
Right. Yeah, privately. Yeah. But if like one of us could talk together,
Yeah, like
so I'm sure, yeah, or I can go in and ask Lori, our planner, a question. I know Paul goes in and can ask Lori a question. You can go in and pick up materials. So
into town hall, and the town planner is always available too.
oh yeah, always. Or Michelle, the assistant in there and so every time like a new plan is issued too, you can get giant plans from town hall, and so they're very accessible and everything. So
That would ask, just to reiterate, you had said you already know when you're looking at plans, what the plans actually represent. So you have a very good understanding of your plans that are.
yeah.
From a site plan perspective, yeah. I've prior to finance, I was on the development side as well. So familiar with site plans and the like, and pulling out utility lines and things along those access easements, things along those lines.
Okay.
And I will say, and I forgot to mention this earlier tonight, in May, we're starting hybrid meetings. So you'll have the choice to be in Zoom, which is if you're traveling, or in person. We have the people
great.
plans, and we're trying the new, I don't know if the select board has started it, but the new hybrid meeting.
We're doing it Monday.
Yeah.
Oh,
So what?
we're going to be doing that.
Another question then is I believe you are allowed to go ahead and do your own research as well when it comes to information to help you make a decision.
Yes.
And that's kind of important because everybody's pretty well new with the decisions of what's going on, like what new projects are coming in, and the more information that you have, the better you can make a good decision.
Yes, and we can ask, I've asked Bob questions about other projects that are going on in town. Bob, our zoning code officer, and he will bring new information about projects, just that are going on in the area, like down the street or whatever, or he will have information about that property and he will bring it to us. So it's helpful that we all bring stuff to the table. Like about FedEx, with how many how many student passes. So I was like, this is how many kids are coming out of that property, out of the high school every day. Because that's what I'm concerned about, student safety. So, it was like, this is how many, students, this is what I'm concerned about when I'm making this decision. And, and everyone's writing it down, and, we're all, and obviously we weren't, that decision alone, it took us, we had that case before us, I think 4 months, 4 to 6 months. So it's not something that we even, we weren't sitting on it. We were discussing it every meeting, and they were before us. We're like, okay, you bring this back. And, so
sharing.
Yeah. And I feel like that was even collaborative between FedEx and us and the property owner. So we were all working on it together to come to something we were all happy with. So.
Great.
Sure. Okay.
All right. Well, we should let John go. If you don't have any, do you have any other questions?
No, I think that's it pretty much at this point. Look, looking forward to hopefully being able to participate and contribute in whatever role it might be. But thank you again for your time. Greatly appreciate it.
We're happy you
Thank you
came.
for
And
volunteering.
yes,
Thank
Excellent.
you.
meet you too.
Thanks, John.
Likewise, yeah.
Bye,
Excellent.
John.
Have a great night.
You
You
too.
too.
You too.
All right, I have Jacob Jones in the waiting room. He's actually in the North Atlantic on a cruise with his
Oh.
wife for their 15th anniversary. So
Oh.
he's not today. He thought they'd be in port, but I guess because of the weather, they
They're at
did
sea,
leave
right?
port, so they're at sea right now. So hopefully it works.
Mm.
So you guys
Okay,
gonna
we can
try to
try
let him
again.
on?
Yeah.
Yeah,
You don't get seasick.
I know. It's very nice of him to try to do this. I'm gonna let him in right now. Is that good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Dedication.
I
Yeah.
know. I know.
Yeah. Hmm,
I hope.
there he is.
Hi, Jacob. Hopefully you can hear us.
I sure can. I'm not sure my video is going to work very well. Hi.
So far,
Am I
so
early?
good. No,
Your
it's
happy
actually perfect.
anniversary.
Yeah,
Perfect.
perfect.
Yeah.
Hi, Jacob. Jacob, I'm Kristen. I'm from the select board.
And I'm Lisa. Now I'm also from the select board. Nice to
I'm
see
Angie.
I'm Susie. I'm on the ZBA and happy anniversary.
Thank you. And I recognize all of you because I stalk you all on these Northborough public meeting videos. I'm glad the internet's working here. We were supposed to be in port and we have way better internet in port, and the captain said we got to leave.
Yeah,
So I was
because
like, well, I hope my internet package plans out. Anyway, here to help. Here we are.
All right.
super great. Okay, well, thanks for coming. I'm just going to give you a little overview. You may know this since you're a stalker, but we had the interviews with the two of us, and then when we're done all the ZBA interviews, which won't happen until tomorrow evening because we have a couple people tomorrow, then Lisa and I will discuss and we'll make a recommendation, and then that goes before the full board on Monday, April 8th, and then the full board has to vote, but the they have access to all the applications too. And a lot of times the members of the select board do watch these interviews also. So I don't know. So sometimes I feel like the recommendation is sort of silly because they're all going to make their own minds up anyway. But anyway, that's how we do things. Did you have any question about procedure or anything?
Nope, I've watched a couple of them. I was a little unclear on what exactly I applied for because I know there was an alternate spot open. I'm happy to have an alternate spot, and I don't know who's all rerunning or however that works. So I'm very aloof as far as all that goes, and ultimately, if I'm alternate's fine. I just wanted to get involved.
Okay. Great.
Or a regular seat. Like I said, I don't know. I'm just here to help, but I don't know what all is vacant and what's all not vacant.
Sure. Yeah. Okay, Lisa, do you want to ask your?
Okay, I'll ask my first question. Of all the boards and committees, and I'm sure you've looked around since you've been stalking us, why did you choose the ZBA today?
Thank you. Yes, even I think there's some charitable giving community committee that was not well attended, but I watched their meetings. They were very insightful and good work that they're doing. I didn't really know about the boards that I could volunteer for until I met Laura, one select board member, Laura, at an elementary school band performance my daughter was in at Lincoln. And she basically said, would you like to volunteer for the community? And I said, I sure would. And She mentioned ZBA being one of the boards that was open. She knew that I had a legal background. But at that point, I went and then did my homework, looked at all the boards, kind of crossed off the ones that nobody would want me on, financial things like that. I'm like, there's other people who are way more qualified to do those sorts of things. But one that stood out to me, having a legal background, not that you would have to be a lawyer to be on this board, but I know Susie is, for example. I think that our legal training really helps us for doing what in many cases is a quasi-judicial role, where we are hearing a case, hearing the facts and arguments of the applicant and any other interested parties, and then applying the standards that are in the law. And in a lot of ways, that's a judicial function. So I'm very qualified to do that. I think it would be very interesting. And as compared to many of the other ones, it just seemed like a natural place for me to go.
Okay, great. Are there any ZBA issues currently going on right now that either you found really interesting, or would you like to bring it up tonight?
A couple of the issues, it took me I watched the past 5 or 6. I haven't personally, I think, in live attendance, attended any of them. Some of them seemed very particular to particular owners. It was more just interesting for me from an educational perspective of learning the process. But the most recent one I watched was the fire department presented some, or not the fire, I don't know who it was. Someone presented some variances for the new fire department, and two were granted, and the one for the sign was a 2 to 3 no. And I won't tell you how I felt about that, but I thought that the process was really spot on. And I thought that the members of the board who were listening were really right there, and the deliberation was great. And I think that's what a good, healthy board needs. So you have a good, healthy board right now, I guess is what I'm saying. But I probably would have come to similar kinds of outcomes as this board did with respect to the issues. And I know, particularly, I know that there's a warrant on this town meeting, is maybe outside of your question, Kristen, but that proposes to, I think, strip out some of the board's power with respect to use variances. I don't know exactly where that came from, but I do understand that there is some history of questions about how use variances are applied. So that's all interesting. I can't say I have a particular strong feeling about them or how they've been applied, simply because I have never had a dog in this fight. I come from a place where I wish I had more connections to the community, and that's part of why I wanted to volunteer, is to get to know more people, because I sit in my home office all day, every day, working for a firm of 500 lawyers, where most of my firm comes from my prior connections. And so I'm very happy, but I really want to get out there. But I don't know anyone. I'm not connected to anyone. I don't have any, I'm not anyone's cheerleader, nor am I against anyone, so to speak.
Okay.
But so sorry. So that was the most recent one that I watched, and I thought they're doing a very good job.
All right. Yeah, that's the planning board's idea, FYI. And it has been, Susie mentioned this a couple times already tonight. So Susie, do you want to give Jacob the little spiel about how the state of Massachusetts and use variances?
So it has come up a couple times. It always loses by just a few votes. Our annual town meeting is only attended by, I would say, would you say, is it 10% of our community usually goes?
Yeah.
And it loses by just a smidge of votes, maybe 4 or 5. I go to these trainings for the ZBA because I try to go to as many trainings every year as I can. They always say the use variance is only used by a handful of communities in Massachusetts by the ZBA. And I'm always like, oh, that's Northborough. They're talking about Northborough. So that's all I'll say about that.
Yeah, so it's pretty rare for ZBAs.
It's very rare. It's very rarely used by ZBA in Massachusetts and passed. And I feel like they're talking about Northborough.
Yeah.
And that's what I usually say in, not when, and I didn't say it in the fire station, but when it's used in other meetings, if you go back, I will usually say that statement, but
Right. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I
that's
can
my
definitely
statement
see
on
how,
experiences.
yeah, its application is definitely it's difficult because when you apply the standard, that's the written standard that you have to a lot of the applications, it's like this is kind of an apples and oranges. How do we even apply these to? And I am aware that certainly that the town bylaws say certain things are allowed to ask for variances with the ZBA and others with the planning board. But that others you're not. And this sort of like use variances, I'm not judging it, I'm just observing it, is
Yeah.
sometimes I think used to get a variance on something that perhaps we're not supposed to. But I don't know. I mean, it is definitely a little bit of a muddy area. But part of muddy areas is where my expertise comes into play. I deal with muddy areas all the time.
I think that we have a manual. Susie, do you have a manual of ZBA practices and some of those? We have to do more about giving you some more anybody getting on a board more information in advance of what is the norm or the law or whatever for each one.
Remember I said earlier, my daughter's been crafting this weekend. She's been crafting. So my ZBA manual is located somewhere amongst the crafts. But yes, it's in here. Yes,
So
it's in here.
Yep.
But yes, I normally for meetings, I have it ready, my ZBA manual
right.
ready. And then I have my training manuals as well that I always print out the latest, greatest from every training that happens in the fall.
So
It's
that-
just easier when you have it like the simple rules and regs that you can just take and print.
Susie, you look a little bit like a crazy person when you're looking around saying it's in here amongst the crafts, because it looks to us like you're sitting in a relatively empty, tidy car. She's not really in a car.
My Zoom
I
background.
gathered that
It's a long.
by
Yeah, I know
by the
you're
first
on a
meeting,
ship.
I realized. I'm sorry, I don't mean to speak over. I realized Susie was not in a car by about the first meeting that I watched her in. But then I saw some commentary about it later, and that's a topic for another day. But I think Susie does a great job of paying attention, I happen to think, to the meetings that she attends. But anyway,
Thank you.
that's neither here nor there.
You're on a ship and I'm in a car.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right.
So do you have any questions for us?
Not particularly. As I mentioned, I mean, my schedule is because of my work situation. I have a quite flexible schedule, other than when I planned 4 months ago to go on a cruise, things like that, which hopefully, we all have, but we can plan around. But I've got four kids at home. We take care of their needs. They go sometimes to games and things, but I'm able to commit. I work in kind of an offset 3-hour time schedule because all of my colleagues are really in Arizona time. So by the time we are all getting around to getting into our meetings at 6:30, 7:30, whenever these meetings start, I'm still in it. I'm ready to rock and roll and ready to go. And I know some of them go late. That's not an issue for me. I'm always in favor of efficient meetings, but the timing of the ZBA's meetings, not an issue for me. I like the idea that they're talking about doing hybrid. My preference is to be in person whenever possible, but while keeping open the opportunity of doing this in case someone's on a cruise, happens to be.
Yeah, we're starting our first hybrid meeting Monday for the select board. So, and
yeah,
I'm not on a cruise, but I will be remote, and everybody else will be there. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it works.
Yeah, if it weren't for remote technology, when I moved out here, I thought I was going to have to change jobs because our firm doesn't have a Massachusetts office. I and one other person are the only 2 Massachusetts attorneys in our firm. And so I presumed I would need to find other employment, and I did. But then they told me, no, you've been with us 11 years. We like you enough, I guess. Stay with us. We'll do fully remotely. And I'm like, a litigator being fully remote, that's kind of odd. And they said, no, let's try it out. So we've been going for 2+ years and still going strong. So I love remote technology, but being remote also reminds me of the value of those in-person interactions. And I'll just give an example. I was just at the fire department building committee a couple of days ago that they didn't have access. And I had some things that I was interested in that meeting. So I went there in person, and you can there's the non-visual cues sometimes that happen in those meetings in person that are a little bit harder to replicate in a remote environment. Well, anyway, sorry, I kind of went off on the spiel there. Anything else I can help you understand about me?
How about, how do you read site plans? Do you know how to go through it and understand all the things that it's telling you on the page?
I've read mine very thoroughly. Before we purchased this property, I read my site plan very, very thoroughly. I understand enough to get myself into trouble and maybe to ask the right questions. What does this mean? What does that mean? Why is that there? I mean, I've looked at the topographic maps for where the fire station is because I was questioning whether we needed a 30-foot retention wall. And then depending on how far you go, I'm looking at the topographic map and saying maybe that is the case. And so, I understand generally how grading and drainage works and things like that. I'm not a real estate lawyer, don't pretend to be. I have been brought into a couple of real estate related matters in prior years at my firm, where again, we usually work with a real estate lawyer who has the level of expertise. I don't pretend to have that level of expertise, but I do have the ability to read dense documents, understand dense documents. My technical background actually is molecular biotechnology and biosciences and things like that. So dense technical writing is up my wheelhouse. But at the same time, I don't presume to know. So it's often good to consult and understand what you don't know from those who have more knowledge about it.
Okay, well, you're not required. I just wanted the last person we talked to was like, oh yes, I'm very well aware of reading a site plan.
It's not. Yeah, it's not what I do on a daily basis.
Yeah. Okay.
But I can navigate it.
Well,
Okay.
I guess the only other thing, Kristen, is Susie has how much time is actually spent usually on your meetings? I mean, unless you already know the answer to that, Jake.
About 3 to 4 hours is your typical meeting. Plus, I assume that there's quite a bit of preparation time going into reviewing all the application materials, and then post time for drafting the opinions, which happen. Written opinions aren't super frequent, and I know that town staff helps with that process. So I know that there's plenty of work outside of the official meeting time to prepare for it. That would all seem very normal for me. When I go do an oral argument, there's many hours of preparation before you go onto the official record.
Okay.
Yes, yes. If it's a shed or a sign, I keep saying, bring me a shed or a sign. I just want a shed. Have someone bring us a fence. Like I would love a nice shed or a sign or a fence. But yes, if it's like a traffic safety report, any of the bigger cases, there's a lot of time and research spent if we are looking into ideas ourselves that might, weigh in on things. A lot of the research that we come up with are on our own, that we're just self-initiated ideas that we're kind of researching on our own and bringing up and everything. And town staff does a lot of the work and a heavy load on their end too, and they're bringing it to us to review and everything as well. So, and then reviewing all the site plans, and then if they change something, then I'm an old fashioned and I like the paper document as well to review. So then it's picking it up and reviewing a new site plan and everything too. But yeah, it's a lot of hours that I don't think people at home sometimes realize too. So, but yeah, you get it.
I know I'm probably up against my time here. One little anecdote, where I'm coming from practice wise, lawyers past 5 years of experience are required to be what they call mandatory arbitrators, So in county superior court cases under $50,000, certain kinds like traffic accidents and things get referred to an arbitrator, which is someone like me. So I've handled a couple of these arbitration cases where I'm actually rendering the decision of the case like a judge. They can certainly appeal that to the Superior Court and so on. But it's very much, I have an arbitration hearing. I'm, the only decision maker. I have standards and things that I follow to make sure that, the evidence that I'm hearing and the law that I'm applying, that I'm doing it correctly. Otherwise, one side, whoever's unhappy with the outcome, is going to take it to the next level and reverse me. Hasn't happened yet. But I think it's very important being in a position like this to understand essentially the standards of review, which I understand denying a request has a pretty low standard of review for variances. I know there's other things we do like reviewing enforcement officer decisions and things, which doesn't seem to happen too much based on what I'm seeing. But but if we're granting, we can't of course exceed our power, and we can't be arbitrary and capricious, obviously. But that if we're granting a variance, that there has to be a very detailed set of factual findings that the board would have to meet to hit all 3 or 4, depending on how you're counting them, of the elements that you've got to hit, and have factual findings to support them all. Otherwise, the unhappy party may go up on appeal. You want to come to the correct decision, apply the law correctly. Unfortunately, someone's going to be unhappy potentially when you have these kinds of situations, but you want them to hopefully feel like they at least had an impartial set of people listening to them and applying the law correctly, even if they don't like the outcome. And that's what I'm about.
Great.
Okay, Jacob, this is the most important question. You ready? Are you going to attend town meeting on April 22nd?
I and my
Anyone
wife
answer?
and yes.
Yes. And bring your wife, yes. If you were gonna, do you have any
Yes.
children 18 or over?
No, but we've also got my in-laws and we've got my brother and his wife. We're gonna have the Jones clan. I hate to say it
Whole
that way,
clan?
but there's gonna
Okay.
be
There
I
you go.
don't know what
We have
the
clickers this year.
Jones
We have
party.
electronic clickers. So
I've
tell
been
everybody
following
it'll
that.
be
Yes.
extra fun.
Yeah, I'm actually have read the draft warrant and watched the select board meetings on those items. The lot of work they've been doing on the MTBA overlay stuff. Board town staff has been working very hard with all of that, I can tell. So yes, absolutely. It's a different kind of governance than what I'm used to. I've watched last year's town meeting, but didn't really even know about it. Didn't even know where to look to know about it. Not blaming anyone for lack of advertising. I just wouldn't have even understood what town meeting meant last year.
Right. If you're from Arizona, yeah, it's a Massachusetts thing. Yeah, it's weird. It's weird. But
I do know now.
Cool.
We'll be there in strength.
All right.
Yeah.
Nice. Good to know. It's quite an adventure. So, okay. Thank you.
April 22nd.
Yeah, it's April 22nd. It's Monday night.
And probably go on to the next day, given.
I was like, probably don't lie to him. It's probably going to go to Tuesday.
Yeah. Good chance. Good chance.
Set expectations.
Right,
Set expectations, Kristen.
Yeah. Yeah. What were you going to say, Lisa?
Thank you so much.
Probably 3 days. It might be 3 days.
No.
Huh?
Never 3 days.
Right.
All right. Lisa's just being mean. All right.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Jacob.
Thank you.
Enjoy your
Jacob.
cruise. Don't worry about this.
Right.
We'll
Take
talk
care. We'll be back
tomorrow.
Friday, but I'll be checking email periodically. Thank
Awesome.
you. Good to
Okay.
see you.
Thanks,
Thank
Jacob.
you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye now.
Very nice. Okay. I just need a quick break. So, and Fran's not supposed to be here till 8 anyway. So
She
You want
did
to-
join earlier, so whenever
okay,
you're
if
ready.
she
I
starts
can
early,
bring her
that's
in.
fine. But I just need a quick 5
Sure.
minute.
I'm
Okay.
with you.
I can go.
Susie can go. Thank you so much, Susie.
Yeah, thank you so
Thank
much,
you.
Susie.
All right, we're gonna
I'll see
take.
you. I'm going to go put my kids to bed.
All right, chat soon. I'll
All
be
right.
back.
I'll talk to you later.
Okay.
Thanks.
Bye. Thanks for coming. All right, Angie, I'll see you in a couple minutes.
All right, sounds good.
Where's everybody? I had people just come home from work, so hopefully there won't be like barking dogs and much noise. And maybe Lisa needed a minute too. It's really hard to sit and uh in these long meetings without little
Yeah.
breaks.
Yeah.
Now my cat has joined us. I don't know if here he comes. He was determined to be part of the select board meeting last night, and I told him tonight you are not on the interview committee, Loki. Okay, here he is.
Aw.
Okay,
It's so
yes,
cute.
Andy. He's so naughty though. I was covered with cat hair last night because I had a black shirt on,
Oh,
and I had to keep picking him up and putting him down. And oh,
that's how
I
our
got an
cat
email.
sheds so bad. Yeah.
You what?
Our cat sheds so bad. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this is the time of year they're losing their fur, right? Because it's spring.
Yeah.
But anyway, now he's on the other side of the screen. Just gonna he's
That's
like
why I stayed at work. It's just less animals, less kids.
yeah.
And I like wearing these headphones at work because then when everyone comes in, they know because when you wear the earbuds,
Yeah, they can't
everyone can
see
see
them
them.
and they
Yeah.
interrupt you. Yeah. Right. Well, oh, another idea for you, and you can do whatever you're comfortable with, but Diane used to just turn her camera off. So there
Okay.
would be a little box that said her name, but
Okay.
she didn't have to like look presentable. Like if she wanted to scratch, she could scratch and she
Okay.
wouldn't have to worry about it or
Okay.
whatever. Or,
Okay.
yeah. So
Oh, that's good to know. Yeah, I wasn't sure if I should stay
that is,
on.
yeah. And as a couple during the first interview and the second one, I thought, oh, I need to remember to tell Andy that.
I
Um,
appreciate that. Okay.
yeah, that's just lower stakes for you. You could just pop on between,
Yeah. Perfect. Okay, that's good to
or
know.
even if you don't turn your camera on, as long as we can hear you between, that's fine too. So
Okay.
whatever you're comfortable with, but yeah.
Perfect. Yeah, I'll probably do that when Lisa gets back on. I'll bring Fran in and then
Yeah, sure.
kind of stay in the background.
B-A-K. Please spell her last name.
Yeah, Bakstran.
Or A-N, right? Okay. Oh, here it is. Okay. That guy was funny, huh? On his
Yeah,
honeymoon cruise or his
I know. It's
wedding
so when I was
anniversary.
scheduling with him, it was so nice. He's like, I can do it. I'm like, oh, it's so nice of you. Nice of his wife to let him do that.
Exactly. Or maybe she's happy to have the evening off. Who knows?
Yeah.
But that is it is nice. I'm a little curious where in the Atlantic they are and how close to the storm they are and everything, but that didn't seem appropriate to
Yeah.
talk. Yeah. Okay. Lisa should be back any minute. Here she
Right,
is.
I'm trying to get some questions, because Fran's a different character. She's not new, so we have to ask her questions that make sense,
That is true. That is true. We have different questions.
right? I can't say of all the boards you could have picked. It's like,
True.
oh, that one doesn't work on this case. But I'm trying to, ask her a few. I mean, maybe we could give her some, give us some experiences that she's gone through and that sort of thing.
Sure. We could ask her pluses and minuses of it too, like we.
Oh, yeah. All
All
right,
right. Are we ready to bring her
We're
in?
ready. Yep. Okay.
yeah. There she goes.
No. Think so. Yeah, cool. Can you guys hear the voices? Hi,
No.
Fran.
Hi, Fran.
Can you hear
How
the
are you?
No, I can't hear the voices. I think we're
Okay.
good.
Just very funny to
those voices in our heads.
I know. As soon as she said that, do you hear those voices? It's like, no.
Right. No, that's good. No, there's two noisy men having a conversation in the kitchen, but I'm a little ways away, so I can hear it, but you can't. That's perfect. You can call them voices in my head. That's fine. All right. Okay. Hi, Fran. I guess I don't
Hi,
have
Kristen.
to explain to you about the board. We will be hopefully voting on this on Monday, because we have a meeting Monday and we would like to try and get it on the agenda and get this all straight as soon as
Sure.
possible. Yeah.
Okay.
But the other details of that I won't bother you with. So thank you for coming. Thank you for volunteering for the years you have already volunteered. Lisa, would you like to start with do you know Angie, Fran?
Not in person, but
Not in
I've
person.
received emails from her. Hi, Angie.
Yeah. Hi. Nice to see you. Thanks for doing this.
We
Yeah,
did
no
Let you guys
problem.
go ahead.
We did
Okay.
introductions with the other candidates,
Okay.
but you know us, so I didn't bother with
It's
that.
it's not a problem at all.
Okay. All right. Thanks, Angie.
So-
Okay, so Lisa.
All right, well, because we've had quite a few people actually come forward this time, and not just with this committee, but many, which has been fabulous
Good.
to get back to a full complement of a finance committee and appropriations, and a lot of new people stepping up, which is really fabulous. So actually, of them, I said, of all the boards and committees, why are you choosing the ZBA? I'm like, well, we can't ask Fran that one because she's
Well, you could. I mean, you could, because I mean, I am looking to get reappointed, right? So I must have interest in it versus something else. Certainly there are other boards and committees that I've been on over the 37 years I've lived in town. But the zoning board is one that I am interested in being reappointed and serving another 3 years. I feel like I still have something of value to offer. And I enjoy it. I mean, it's a great group. It has changed slightly over the term that I've been there, not significantly, but there has been enough of a turnover where we've learned new styles and personalities. I think we work well together. So I would be disappointed if I didn't get to have another 3 years with them. And I would look forward to doing it again for another 3 years.
okay. And how many years have you actually been on the ZBA?
This is at the end, if it's 3 years, it would be 12 years.
Wow, that's a good time. Are you, so Brad,
1 year longer than Brad.
I was gonna say Brad is the next closest one to you then.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, and are you on other committees?
Well, I'm on the Council on Aging,
Okay,
and then I just was recently appointed as the Council on Aging's representative on the Master Plan Implementation Committee.
okay. And and you did say earlier that you have a lot to offer. We know you have given us an awful lot of time and valuable expertise, and we really do appreciate the years that you have donated to the town, and not just for ZBA. I think I think it should be said that you've been one of our longest going volunteers, which is fabulous. I mean, it just talks volumes of how much you care about the town.
Well, I mean, I think we all do our part in some form or fashion. You don't have to volunteer on a board committee or commission to be involved. But I wanted the right to complain, right? I mean, I wanted to be part of it. And honestly, I came into being interested in being part of the town government in the same fashion that each of you have. There was something happening in my backyard that I wanted to stop. And I thought I actually had the power to do that, right? Learn through the process that it's not as easy as that. I know there was a car wash at one time wanted to be where the old Chinese restaurant was on your corner, Lisa. And
Yeah,
certainly,
that
Kristen,
was
I know that the truck traffic on Bartlett Street was something that you were opposed to. So for me, it was Assabet Hill. They were going to develop that with, 40 houses, and I live on the flatlands below it, and we were concerned about runoff and water and silt, and we thought, so we sued the planning board. And that was my first thing I ever did in the town of Northborough, was part of a lawsuit against the planning board. And I learned that just because Fran doesn't like it, doesn't mean that it's not allowed, right? This isn't Franville. So I got more involved. I volunteered at the Council on Aging. And then, from there I went to select board and blah, blah, blah. And here I am.
Well, it's good. It's good to know the history. I've got some things. Do you want to, I'll throw the ball in your court a little bit, Kristen. You have other.
You muted.
Sorry. Excuse me. I have a little bit of a cough, so that's why I keep muting. So, but the question I've been asking everybody is, I think it is appropriate for you. Are there any current issues the ZBA is facing or has faced in the last, say, 6 months or so that you've thought was really interesting or would like to speak to tonight, I guess would be a good way to put it.
Well, I mean, I think that we do work well together. I am generally not in favor of having the chairperson continue for multiple years, but I have to say that I was the one that said to Paul, I really hope you continue doing it, because he runs a very good meeting. He is very encouraging in how we all get to participate. We don't all agree on everything, but I think the process is very well done. I think that we come from different points of view and experience, but we can build consensus. I would like to see the alternate position, the individuals be encouraged to speak more. The 2 times that I was the chair of the zoning board, I actually would ask them to pointedly, what do you think, or to more strongly encourage their participation. And I would like to see that. And that would be something that I would discuss if Paul was our chair again, that he really encourage the alternates to participate, because you don't need to sit there quiet. It's not, I'll say, like a liaison where you just sit in the background and not participate. Yes, I watched your meeting. So you should participate, you should ask questions, because you can actually, as an alternate, help form the opinions of the voting members. That's allowed. You're allowed to be fully part of it, just not voting on it unless there's somebody recuses themselves or somebody is absent. So,
yeah. Okay. Great. Lisa?
Well, some of the new questions that have been coming in with different, and it's like I said, to try to make some standards to have kind of the same kind of questions. So,
of course.
Variance and use variance and such is obviously back up on the roster again this year. So probably the 3rd time I've seen it, and I think that people are, I don't know what's going to happen. Like every year you don't. It happens. Then say, well, maybe we should change some of those zoning bylaws so that the use variance doesn't have to be utilized as often as it has been. Do you know in terms of like a percentage, obviously, because you come into it with experience, how throughout the years, does it wax and wane, or do you have about the same amount of use variances each year?
No, so like I think everything else, we never know what we're gonna get in any given year, whether it's variances or special permits or development in general. I mean, I will tell you, because I do know that there were 176 176 applications over the last 10 years, of which only 26 of them were use variances. The others were either special permits or appeals and or variances of dimensional variances and such. For variances, you know, I think the addition of Susie bringing more concern about the process of how we determine special permits or variances has helped. We still don't always agree, because bylaws, like laws, are interpreted. If it was black and white, you wouldn't need lawyers, because it either would be or it would not be. So we can look at the same thing and you can say teal and I can say turquoise. Neither is right or wrong. So the use variance, I mean, I think it is a valuable tool. I don't think that it would be devastating if it wasn't part of our zoning bylaws. I think it is beneficial to have it, but is the sky gonna, Chicken Little, the sky gonna fall if we don't have the use variance as part of an option? No. What would I think could practically happen in that case? Again, there is a process to get the zoning changed. The planning board does that on an annual basis. And if there was a use that we thought would benefit the community in a certain district, we would draft zoning bylaws to add it as a use. That use then would be allowed throughout that district. A use variance only allows it on that property. So that's the difference. But variances in general are not that often asked. I mean, there has to be reason based on the property itself.
Okay. And again, because of your experience, which is a lot longer than Kristen and I've had, is there one that you can, that of all the experiences that you've had, that you felt was very successful in whatever it was you granted, whether special permit or variance, and then one that was not as you expected it to turn out?
Well, I mean, I could do easy ones, which are the dimensional variances for all the store signs up at Northborough Crossing. Because of the height of the hill, the height of the buildings, the speed of the traffic that goes by, and the overlay district, they have had to ask for dimensional variances for every storefront that's up there. The beauty of that is the planning board is proposing zoning bylaw changes to increase the dimensional allowed size in that area, so that they don't have to go through that process, because I think it costs people money to go through the variance process, because otherwise it's just another meeting. So I think there's some financial reason why it's like, oh, variance, have to go to get a variance. I think it costs them money to file something. But I mean, that's an easy one. Of course, one of the first ones they did was the ballpark, when they wanted to change Indian Meadow into the ball fields.
Right.
And, and we voted that down, even though the applicant assured us that they were not more detrimental to the community, because it really is just a ball and a stick. And it's like, it was so much different. I mean, there's like nothing other than the fact that you have a stick and a ball. There's nothing about golf and baseball that you can say is not, more detrimental to the community. I mean, so, but I mean, I did agree, obviously, that because it was unanimous that we denied them that special permit for the changing the golf course to a ball field.
Did they move over? Did they move over to the other side of Northborough Crossing, or is that just another company?
No, that's where they went. That's where they ended up going. Yeah. Yeah, so, but as far as, I mean, there are a lot of things. I mean, there are a lot of votes that I did not necessarily agree with. Fran didn't like it, but it wasn't whether I liked it or not, it's whether I thought it met the criteria, right? And the planning board is responsible for looking at every time we make a decision to see whether or not we need to fine tune our zoning to maybe make those situations not come up again. Right? But that's never going to change a hardship where you put in an in-ground pool based on the surveyed land, only to find out it's in the side setback. And now you have to ask for a dimensional variance because of the financial hardship of having to move that pool, right? It's that you're always going to have that. There's always going to be an exception to the rule in some form or fashion.
Do you find that you have more developer applications than homeowner applications now? Has that changed in the past 12 years? Or was the rate?
I think we've definitely had more modifications of residential properties because everybody's adding and renovating their homes. There's not a lot of new development. I think the planning board only had 3 new applications in 2023. So there is not really much new development. So my thought would be, it would be residential properties that are looking to make some type of modification to their home. It's almost always setbacks, side setbacks. Somebody wants to put it in a pool, a fence, but they need an extra 3 feet. But no, I would think it's probably more residential and setbacks are probably the number one or the more common. And then signs.
Signs.
Is there a particular decision that you're really proud of in the past?
Well, I'm very proud of the fact that I voted against the assisted living that's going on King Street, even though I was in the minority, because I think that was definitely not a good decision. And I still stand by my denial.
King Street?
King Street, yeah. Southwest Cutoff, where the 88 unit assisted living is going.
So is it still going?
A little off topic, but my understanding is that the developer is still working on the finances of getting it up and running because it was delayed. 2 reasons why. One, COVID, and the fact that part of the application, part of the decision was that he had to knock down that building, which he also owned, to straighten the road to make a 90-degree angle onto Southwest Cutoff, and needed Mass DOT's permission. So that slowed things down. So other than that, I don't know why he hasn't broken ground.
Okay. It's kind of hard to ask the questions that we've been asking the other men. So
all right.
Well, and also
just ask it. Just ask it.
We spent about 20 to 25 minutes with the other candidates, but we also didn't really know very much about them. But usually in the past, like Angie, this is Angie's first time doing interviews, and she gets a half hour for everybody.
Okay.
And I've been doing interviews for almost 2 years, and this is the first time we've had a full half hour. So usually it's about 20 minutes, and we've been about 20 minutes. So
that's fine.
I don't feel compelled to like come up with questions until that point in time.
All right. Well, then I would just ask it as my final thought is that, I am thick-skinned. I am happy to speak my opinion and my thoughts, even if they are not in line with other people, but I do listen. I have been persuaded and I have been persuasive on the board. And I think that is a personality trait that is beneficial for this type of board. I would look forward to spending another 3 years doing it. I've been in your shoes doing interviews, so I understand that it is not always easy to make decisions. But again, I would love to do it again. I mean, that's the reality of it. 3 years from now, I don't see myself asking to do another 3 years. But I'm sure I'll find something else to do. But again, I would love to do it. I would just
Well,
love to, I would
that's
be
the
love to be
thing
part
next.
of it, and I would hope that you would consider the fact that my experience does matter and that my interest in continuing does matter. That's all.
Absolutely.
And then just one other thought, and again, this is, even if it's not me, it's a 7-member board.
Okay.
There are 4 openings right now.
Mhm.
If the 4 individuals don't have some experience, you're going to have only 2 people on that board that have more than 2 years of experience. And that would be Paul and Brad. And I don't know whether that's in the best interest of the community. And that's my only thoughts, though.
Okay.
All right, well, it's good.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, I'm glad that you're not up till 11 o'clock again tonight.
We're phew. Yeah. We have
Yeah.
more tomorrow though. More
Oh,
interviews.
well, there you go. All right, great. Well, that's a good sign. And I hope we run out of clickers.
Yeah, me too.
I don't think it'll happen. I think Lisa and I have been here long enough to know that it probably is not gonna happen, but it would be lovely if we did. I think there's like 500 of them, so
Yeah.
that would be like unbelievable. So,
So,
but thank you all very much. Thank you,
Okay.
Angie. It was nice
Thanks
meeting
for
you.
Thank you, Fran.
coming,
Thank
All
Fran.
you.
right, take care.
Have a
Bye.
good night.
Bye. The dog did start barking, but anyway. Scouty, stop. Can you make her not bark, please? Sorry.
So yeah, the 30 minutes, I was talking to Di. I did not realize that. So next time I'll
Yeah.
know.
So
Wasn't bad though.
that is
Usually we're like 15. Yeah.
and you know what, like those first 3, like we really didn't know those people from Holes in the Wall, and it is a big it's a complicated ZBA is different than some of the other boards and committees. It's a little harder to do the interviews, especially considering you have people with varying levels of experience and familiarity with what the ZBA even does. So of all the boards to give the 30 minutes, this was perfect.
Yeah, no,
Good. I'm glad it worked out.
Not rushed.
Oh,
So
good.
that was good. And nobody was waiting, which sometimes people are waiting half an
Yeah.
hour or more for their interview, and that's stressful too. So
Right.
we didn't have that. But yeah, just FYI, a lot of the interviews, it can be 15 minutes.
Okay.
I
Yeah.
suppose it would be for the people that have are reapplying. They'd be the ones to have the shorter time period. But
Yeah. And some of the boards and committees too, that there's just not as much to talk about. But anyway, we're still on YouTube. Our meeting is still happening. So maybe we should end the meeting. I think, Lisa, you need to make a motion to end.
To adjourn.
make a motion
To
that we close this meeting, adjourn tonight's meeting.
And I second it. Second. And then we vote.
Okay.
Roll call vote. Lisa?
Aye.
Kristen says aye also. Okay, so we are adjourned. All right. You have
Thank
to do
you.
that.
Thank you, Angie. I'll take care of ending it.
All right. Thank you so
Thanks.
much, you guys. Have a good night.
Good job.
Okay, good
Thanks.
night.
Bye.
Thank you
Good night.
so much.
Twin.
Bye.